Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I've been working on Mountain Song by Jane's Addiction on the drum set, and I find it to be very difficult. And when I find a drum set part to be very difficult, sometimes I'll program it into Logic so that I can slow it down and isolate the limbs and loop certain parts and just see what I'm supposed to do better to practice along with it. So what I've done here is import the song. That's this blue field at the top here. And I'm just looping the first part of the bass intro. Wait a minute. Sorry. Normal tempo. I'm just gonna solo that. I'm gonna add the click. So I did make this a quarter note. I made that a quarter note even though I really think that's probably eighth notes, but I think it's easier to sequence this way. So I basically sequenced it in cut time. And maybe that's how they thought of it too, I'm not sure. So then I'm gonna show you how I have these 6 separate tracks here that make up the drum set part, or my attempt at recreating the drum set part. And I mostly used this studio heavy kit, but I also ended up using an Asian kit and an African kit, but it's mostly the studio heavy kit. So I'm going to start by adding the cymbal crashes. There are 2 different cymbals either every measure or every 2 measures, depending on how you're counting it. You can see the MIDI cues here. Okay, now, so he's hitting that with both with his right hand, and then the right hand moves to the floor toms. And I originally thought he was playing 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and the whole time. But from looking closely at a drum clinic video of him playing it, he's not doing that. At least in this, I'm sure he varies it throughout the song, but here I'll show you. So we have 2 different floor toms here. The low one is the lower pitched one. So here's what I think he's doing, at least that in that particular performance for those particular measures. Oh, sorry. Let me solo the bass line and the floor toms. So you notice it is different. Only one difference. On the first measure, he omits that note. Other than that, it's if you're counting half notes, then it's a one measure pattern, except for that missing note makes it a 2 measure pattern. So now I'm going to add the cymbal crashes that he's also playing with his right hand. So this is the full right hand part. So you notice the different colors here. The green are softer, that's, say, average, and then these red ones are louder, accented on the lower floor tom. So if you watch his hand, he's using what looks to me like a molar derived push-pull type technique so that the notes that land on the beat are louder, and the notes that are off the beat are quieter. So you do need 2 floor toms on your right side in order to play that exactly like that. Okay, next, well, let's talk about the left hand part, which I also have split into 2 tracks. I mostly did this because I couldn't find enough different pitched toms. So I think these are actually taiko drums in the Asian kit, playing the rack tom part that the left hand plays. So you could count 1 EN and 2 EN, a 3 EN, a 4. 1 EN and 2 EN, a 3 and a 4. I should probably accent that. Third note. But so you have 3 different pitched toms in the left hand. Now that's not counting the snare part, which is also played by the left hand, which is this. And I have those heavily accented because I think that's sort of the main part, I would say. Bass drum and snare drum are typically what you would play in a rock beat. But I'm gonna add the rack toms now. Yeah, boom, boom, ga. So that's all with the left hand. And you know, I'm not saying this is 100% correct, but this is what I've gotten so far. And he probably does vary it, but I'm pretty sure that's the basic idea, which means he's moving his left hand very quickly. Get going from the snare to the rack tom. Get going, and then low. Middle, right? Get going. Did I do it backwards? I think I did it backwards. You know what? I'm going to switch those notes. Hang on a second. Let me just fix that real quick. That should be... No. That should be the G, I think. And those should be B. I think I did it backwards before. So I switched those. I think it's high, low, middle. Middle, high, low, middle. Now I'm going to add the snare back. So you sort of have this melody being played just with the left hand, with 4 different pitched drums, one of them being the snare. And before I forget, I did experiment with different swing. I do think it's a tiny bit swung, the 16th notes, or in this case, the way I sequenced it, they're 8th notes. So you see here I have the upbeats 11, whatchamacallums, late. I always forget what they're, ticks. 11 ticks late. So it is slightly swung. I did that to all the parts. All the 16th notes or 8th notes are slightly late. I didn't do that at first, but it didn't quite sound right if it's quantized perfectly. Now just listen to the bass line again, and I think if you listen closely, the 8th note, the 16th notes are slightly swung. It's hard to tell exactly how they were thinking of it, but there is a slight lilt to it that doesn't sound right if you sequence it perfectly. Okay, so the bass drum part, this is another thing that I've been practicing wrong, I think, after looking at it more closely. It's actually way more difficult than I thought, because I thought he was just going on the bass drum. Boom, boom, boom. 1 and a 2, and 3 and a 4. 1 and a 2, 3 a 4. 1 a 2, 3 a 4. Those are the main accented notes, but if you listen and look closely, I think it's something more like this. Where a lot of those notes are doubled, not all of them, but most of them. So it's bum 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 instead of bum 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 bum. But not all of them. See, this one is not doubled here, but the rest are. And again, I have the accented notes are the red ones, and the green notes are, you might call them ghost notes. Boom boom. That one there will land with, I'm sorry, this one here will land with the snare drum, if you listen closely. I'm going to mute the bass, slow it down, and add the snare. Well, first I'll play with the bass. So here's the bass. Bass guitar and bass drum. I'll add the bass back. Okay, so I think he's doing, now I could be wrong, but it's hard to tell, because honestly the videos I've seen, the camera position is not ideal, but I'm doing the best I can. So you can see his knee come up on those accented notes, but then you see his knee not move up and down, but wiggle a little bit on where I think he's playing these ghost notes on the bass drum. So it's again sort of a molar derived type of fling. Bum boom, bum boom, bum bum boom, bum boom, bum boom. Where the hip pivot fling is the accented note, and then the up, when the ankle comes up, or rather the hip comes slightly up, but the ankle pivots down on the ghost notes. Bump boom, bump boom, bump, bump boom, something like that. Now I could further lessen the volume of those ghost notes, or further accent the accented notes, but I'll do that later. I'm going to go on to the left foot part, which when I searched this song on YouTube, some of the people covering this are omitting this left foot part. Now it's kind of is, and when I search the isolated drum tracks, I don't think it's the actual isolated drum track. I think it's somebody covering it. I haven't actually found a good isolated drum track of him playing it. But if you listen to the recording, now it could be an overdub on the recording too. But it sounds like he's chunking eighth notes with his left foot. And here, this is where I used the African kit using, I'm not sure what it's called, but maybe a kabasa, or chekere, or some kind of shaker. I think it's a chekere. Mostly I did that just for variety, but it's really played on the left foot hi-hat. I'll put it to normal tempo. So some of the isolated drum tracks I hear, I'm hearing more like he's playing quarter notes, like instead of. So that's what made me think maybe it's an overdub, or those are just not the real isolated drum track, and someone's playing it incorrectly. But when you watch him do the drum clinic, if you watch his left foot, now it's not. By the way, this is just the verse part. I haven't gotten to the chorus. On the verse part, he's chunking eighth notes with his left foot pretty consistently, like that. So I'm hearing the feet parts together, and I'm going to lessen the volume of the metronome. I'll leave it in there a little bit, but here are the feet parts together. I'm going to add just the snare. Now the rack toms, so remember the rack toms I'm about to add are also played with the left hand. I'm going to take those away. I'll leave the feet going. I'm going to leave the feet going, take away the left hand, add the right hand part. Actually, I'm going to do first just bass drum and floor toms together. So already it's even just sitting here isolating these two things, knowing what it is. It's hard to tell what it is when you hear it, but you know it's something. So that's just right foot and right hand minus the crash cymbals. I'm going to add the crash cymbals now. So this is the full right hand part with the right foot part. Left foot. All right. Okay, now. How about, dang it. How about just the hand parts together? So this is just the hands. I think I'll leave the bass guitar going. But here are the hands. Just to out of curiosity, I'm going to take away the snare drum and the crash cymbal. So this is just the toms, although I have the rack toms, or actually taikos, but this is the tom parts. Well, he does often have 3 rack toms, but I think it's typically 2 rack toms and 2 floor toms, and both hands end up playing the higher pitched floor tom. But in this case, they'll be different. So here's the right hand. Here's the left. There it is. Okay. I'm going to add the snare back. I'll add the crash cymbal back. And I'll add the left foot. Okay, now I'm gonna, that was all without the right foot part. Here's the right foot part again. Okay, let's see, what combination have I not done? I think I did probably enough different combinations. So here, I'm going to unsolo it, and you'll hear all 6 parts, which is really played by 4 limbs, just separated so I have more control over the mix and everything. Or, in this case, a different sound. So here's everything together. I'm going to slow it to minus 50%. All right. So let me know what you think. I think that's a good start anyway to get. I mean, to me, it's starting to sound kind of right. Um, and again, that's just the verse. The chorus, I'll get to. But let me know what you think, and if you can play it, post a video of that. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.